Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first World Squash Officiating webinar. We've appropriately called it a Ref-inar. So what we're going to do this evening, and we're going to try and keep it as close to an hour as possible. The format that we're going to take for this one is, and I can see that there's lots of chats coming in already, but if you have any questions that you think are appropriate, we've got Chris monitoring the questions and he'll actually look at them if you type them into the chat and put them to us. But because we are aware of time and we've got a few clips that we want to get through and discuss between myself and Roy, we're going to actually motor on quite quickly. But if there is anything that you do want to discuss, please feel free to put it into the chat and then Chris can put it to us. So as I mentioned, myself, Lee Drew, and Roy Gingell. So I'm lead development for the WSO, for those of you that don't know, but I'm sure if you've been going through all the different courses and the stuff there, you'll be pretty fed up of my voice and me already. And then of course, Roy is leading as well on the WSO website and the content, and then also as one of the top officials in the world. So the aim of this Ref-inar is basically to develop a further understanding for all of us involved, to discuss what we're seeing, to provide new learnings. So as we walk through it, as we discuss it, and as we talk things and we notice things, it's an opportunity for us to learn new things about the game, about officiating, different ideas, and also to create a bit of clarity and consistency in a game that's very, very difficult to officiate and causes a lot of talking points throughout the world, especially when it's on TV with the PSA World Tour events. And then what we'd like from you guys is to have a bit of a key identity, or to identify key takeaways that you want to take from this that you think will help your officiating moving forwards and sort of develop yourselves. And we can discuss the key takeaways that we would be taking from these videos as well. The way we're going to do it in these Ref-inars is that we're going to look at talking points from a recent PSA event that we'll choose. And what we'll do is quite often we'll just choose one PSA event because it will generally have a trend and be quite topical, rather than jumping around at lots of different clips. Because when you're away at these PSA tournaments, or I'm sure if you've been officiating on them or been watching them, you will notice that there's quite often patterns and trends, and they evolve over time. We're going to discuss the decisions and the situations. We're also going to run a poll on each one of the clips that we show. So we won't have long to do it. We're going to show the real speed and then a replay of it. And then at the end of that, the poll will pop up. If you can put in your decision, it's one click of the button, but as quickly as you possibly can, and then we can have a look at the results. And it's just a way to make it a bit of interactive fun, and also to see how we're all thinking as a collective. Obviously no names or anything come up, so you don't have to worry about that. It will just be completely autonomous. And then Roy and myself, we can discuss it and provide our rationale and explanations and what we're seeing and what we're thinking about. And hopefully we won't disagree too much and get stuck on clip one if there's a difficult one. But all joking aside, we'll talk about it and go through it as we go along. We're going to look to keep it as close to the hour as possible, because we know everyone's time is very, very precious. So we've got 10 to 15 clips that we can work through, and we'll just see how far we get. Now, we've opened this Ref-inar up to everyone, but moving forwards, and we are going to try and make this a regular occurrence, we can make it quite specific to each level and the different needs. And we can also start to delve into the different areas of the rules, or different areas that might be creating talking points when we're watching the matches and the PSA, or when we're away at tournaments. Okay, so let's start moving on. We're going to look at our first clip. Don't forget, once we've watched this clip through, we'll see the real time and then we'll see the highlights. After that, the poll will come up, and that's when you've got to click the button and make the decisions. We'll then look at the poll, we'll share it, and then Roy and I can discuss it. No sound, of course, because we don't want to be influenced by anyone. Okay, so I think the poll will come up. Okay, so as quickly as you can, if you all press the buttons. That's fast, I'm impressed. Okay, so that's a good number of you have gone for it. We've got stroke as the winner. So if we start to look at this again, myself and Roy can talk through it. Now, I actually had this as a stroke, well, as a no-let, sorry. I was thinking about the result. I had this as a no-let because of where the ball stays on the court. And then that initial step from Gohar being slightly towards Waters. Is there anything that you'd be looking at here, Roy?
Yeah, tough call to kick off with, Lee, I must say. To be honest, I'm 100% looking at the ball and thereafter Goa's movement. I saw the ball very, very short, to be honest. I saw Goa looking a little bit for Waters, just going the wrong way slightly initially, but the ball being very short. Tough call, mind you, very tough call. I'm going for a no-let there, to be honest.
Yeah, and then as an explanation, you would say ball stayed short, it's a winning shot. And then if you really needed to get into it, I guess you could talk about the movement into the player rather than the ball.
Yeah, I think the ball is key here. I saw that ball very, very short indeed. Slightly tough angle here for the referee where the camera is as well. Doesn't quite show the depth of the court as well.
Yeah,
bit of distance to the ball for me. Bit too much distance.
So nothing like a tough one to get into it right at the start. But here's our second clip. And that's still the first one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the first one.
There we go. Here's the second clip. So you can see the debate. Players not too happy with this one. Okay. So if we get the poll in. Go, if you can give your decisions as quickly as possible. So just wait a couple more seconds. Okay, so big winner here on the stroke. Now, I completely agree. I think if you pair this up with the first decision, you've got to be looking at, you can't be looking at a let, I don't think. The first one we've gone for the no let. On this one, I think you've got to look at the stroke again, because just the fact that the ball is coming all the way back to the Alison Waters, who's just played the shot. Gohar's seen the shot and she's trying to get through to the ball. For me, it's a pretty clear stroke, this one.
Yeah, obviously a little bit more life in this ball than the previous decision. as a referee, could she get it? If she could get it, then the decision should not be a let. Water's clearly in the way, direct line to the ball, 100% a stroke for me.
Yeah, I agree. So we've agreed on both so far. So far, Roy. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, just watch this replay. Right, we'll get the poll in.
Can we just repeat that?
So it's in already, right?
All right, good.
Decisions are coming in thick and fast. Okay, so we've got a big margin, big win, 95% for no lets. Roy, do you want to talk this one through?
Yeah, for this one, I don't think Goa really knows where the ball is, to be honest. And the ball is at 100% going towards the back of the court. The line needs to be further round. I don't think she's going to take that ball level with Waters. Bit too much pace on the ball. She needs to go behind. Didn't really know where the ball is for me. So I'm going with a no let there.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same. I was thinking no let, doesn't know much about the ball, left herself stranded. And when you watch the initial step through the middle of the court, there's just a slight movement that's taking her in the wrong direction, which even makes her slightly late leaving that central position. So it's that same one again. Move on to the next one. Okay, here we go. So we can get the.
I think we need to show that video again. Needs a little bit flickery.
Okay.
Can we just show it again?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, if we just show it a couple of more times, a little bit flickery. Thanks. Great, that's far better. I think we can run the poll now. Thanks, Lee. This is decision number 4.
Okay, if you get your answers in. Okay, excellent. So got a lot of, I suppose it's split it slightly between no lets and yes lets, 61% on the yes let. Now, when I was watching this, I was immediately thinking that, so if I play it again. So my thoughts there were, look at how early Alison Waters takes this shot, and then where Gohar's actually positioned as she hits the shot, and then where the ball travels to. So I think there's the couple of considerations here, or points to consider, and that is the quality of the shot. I think it's how early the ball's taken by Waters, and then I think it's the position taken up by Gohar, the position that Gohar finds herself in when she hits that. So it's a tough one. It's a really hard decision, but I'm going on a no let here.
Yeah, Again, I thought this was a really tough call as well. Is she able to hit that ball on the volley the way she was moving in front, or by the time she would have got across to the side wall? Look at the quality of the ball. I'm also looking at the quality ball. Would she be able to hit that ball? Really, really tough there, right? Just the pace of that ball, probably not, right? But interesting for me, what Lee just said in the points to consider as a refereeing in these sort of situations at any level. Obviously, we don't have the benefit of hindsight, don't have the benefit of replays. So it's about us quickly, actually very quickly, looking at those points that Lee just mentioned there and try to process that as quickly as we can and giving the decision in an instant. And that's how difficult it is. And this is a classic example where, you know, as per the poll, you know, really tough call. Can she hit it? For me, I don't think she can. So therefore, based on the ball moving past her, based on her movement, I'm going with a no let also.
Yeah, and I think you've got that snapshot, haven't you, where you've got to process all that information in that first instance. We haven't, you know, you haven't got the replay when you're at the back of it. It's literally picking up all that information in a snapshot immediately. And I think that's a real differentiator when you're under pressure in these circumstances between the very best referees in the world and people that are very competent in the game, but not quite at the same level. I mean, there is a difference there.
Yeah, and you gotta be able to have what I say the tools in your toolkit to be able to process that information as well. So you got to have that information available to you as well. So you've got to be aware of that information, be aware of where the ball is, be aware of the pace of the ball in this case, be aware of both Waters' movement, Goer's movement. You know, is she making a genuine effort to go to the ball? Is she looking for it? So there's lots of this information which you've got to pick out. Which one do I need to process quickly on that call?
Definitely. Okay, let's have a look at the next one.
If we can show it through a few times, Lee, because it's a bit clunky.
It's hard to see because it looks perfect on my view.
And a couple more.
Looks like we're becoming a video referee now. Okay, one more and then we'll go.
Yeah.
Okay, there'll be a replay as well, slow motion.
So this is decision number 5.
Okay, so let's get the poll up. Excellent. So a lot of people leaning towards the stroke. I mean, if I'm honest, I don't particularly like the shoulder turn. No, Asal is definitely reeling him in, but the shot quality for me of Moments is so bad, and he's still there, and there's just no way that Asal can actually hit that ball. He hasn't got a chance to hit it, even with the slight turn of the shoulders towards him looking for it. So, I mean, I don't particularly like that. I definitely don't like that sort of movement when a player does it. But just in this instance, when you look at the quality of Moment's shot and the fact he's still there, I think you can only give a stroke.
Yeah, and really interesting. I didn't like the movement from Asal looking to contrive the stroke as well, which is not very good, not in the spirit of the game. So perhaps you can have a word with Asal on that. But 100%, the quality of the shot from the striker, Moment in this case, was so poor. He was really struggling to get out of the way. So yes, he did go, as we say, a little bit on the fish. He was fishing, but in this particular case, the shot was so poor. I agree. Stroke should be given.
So Roy, in this instance, could you actually say to Mustafa Asal, could you say, Mr. Asal, there's no need to go looking for the opponent? It is a stroke, but there's no need to actually look for him?
Yeah, 100%. And in this particular game, look at the score. Look at the score, 3-1 in the first game. So I think, yes, it is a stroke, but in a nice tone, good words, there is an opportunity here to come in just for the referee to set their stall, to say, actually, you know, okay, it is a stroke. Yes, he can decide when he wants to play the ball, but like we said, there is no need for him to turn his shoulder directly and put his racket into, you know, his opponent's face, basically, right? The shot is so bad, it is a stroke, right? But there is an opportunity to have a quiet but a nice word here. You know, please look for the ball, because he does look for his opponent as well. Please look for the ball.
Okay, excellent. Let's move on to the next one.
Play through a few times, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just let the replay come. Okay, I'll do one more. Okay, so if we bring the poll in. Good, there's a nice split there. Okay, so pretty even split between the yes let and the no let, and then not too many on the stroke. I'll let you talk this one through if you want, Roy.
Yeah, and again, really interesting one for me. If this was in my club this evening, I'm definitely going for a safety let in my club, in the third team that I'm involved with at my local club. But at this level, these guys 100% can hit this ball, and this situation, there is an opportunity. The guys should be playing this ball at this level, so this needs to be a no let. He can play that ball at this standard in the world, and we need to encourage him to hit this ball. So for me, this is 100% a no let. We would like the players of this level to hit this type of ball, and this situation is an ideal example of that.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking exactly the same thing. I was thinking that it's very different. This is one of those ones where front wall interference, it does vary depending on the level that you're officiating, doesn't it? Because if this was two juniors playing, you wouldn't want them necessarily hitting that ball. Same if it was club players or people that have only just started or not a great standard, you would definitely want them to stop for safety. When you're looking at this level, you're in the US Open, championship final, you know, Tarek Momen can hit that ball.
Yeah, and look at the psycho here. Look at the pressure that the referee's under, which lots of people don't quite get. Look at the score, 2-all, 8-7. This is pressure on the referee, right? The two players know he can hit this ball. Actually, Momen probably trying to gain a cheap stroke from the referee, right? So the pressure is on, but, you know, would there have been opportunities in the match, right, where Momen has played this type of ball? I would suggest, being 99% certain, that he has hit balls of this ilk in this match previously. Definitely, yeah. Right? I would suggest that. I haven't watched the match back tonight, but I would suggest that both players have played similar balls to that ilk. So we need them to play them at 9-all, 10-all in the third game.
He's probably a bit tense, isn't he? He's closing in on the championship.
Yeah.
He wants to get over the finishing line. Yeah. So there's that tension element in him as well, and in the whole thing.
Yeah. So this is the pressure that the referee is under in this particular situation. Massive pressure.
Okay, let's have a look at the next one. I'll play it through a few times.
No let was the decision for that particular call.
Yeah, the previous one.
Yeah. This is decision number 7 now.
Well, we're getting lots of views of this anyway because it's a review. So it's a video referee decision. I'll let it go one more time. So I'll let these play through and then we'll go to the poll. Okay, if we get the poll up. Excellent. All right, so there's a significant victory there for the no let on this one, which is quite interesting. So just for me, I mean, this is difficult. I think this is a difficult decision. And when I'm looking at this, I think there's lots to consider in that situation. So for me, I'm looking at the depth of the ball, how far that ball's going back. But I'm also watching the movement of Momen off the shot and seeing how much he's actually trying to clear and whether he's standing up. And then I'm also looking at the way that Asal is moving towards the ball and trying to wrap his opponent with the racket. So I'm thinking depth of the ball, thinking movement off the ball from Tarek Momen, and then movement to the ball and the action of wrapping the racket around the player for Mustafa Asal. So, I mean, because there is so much going on, and I'm not particularly happy with the movement off the ball from Momen either. I'm probably sitting on a let ball here. I don't know what you think, Roy.
Yeah, so, you know, it's back to this thing that we had early doors. Really, really tough decision. So let's look, you know, for me, the points to consider. I hate the wraparound. So I'm looking at that. I really don't like that. But I can't take that in isolation. So the wraparound, straight away, I'm giving him a no let. Then I'm thinking, oh, the ball. Oh, there's a bit of life in the ball here. This player can hit that. which I think he can. So that's starting to negate the wraparound. And then, like Lee said, what about the movement off the ball? For in this case, movement, and that's not the best. So if I'm diving in quickly, I'm given a no let, but then actually, have I taken the other 2 points into consideration? Little bit of distance to the ball, but it's not a dead ball. But why can't he get to the ball also? Because movement's not the best. Very, very tough decision here. But, you know, am I aware of those points? And that's the good learning for this decision. Have I taken movement into consideration? So I'm sitting on the fence here, tough call. I'm going with a yes let as well, because of that rationale for me.
I think the other thing is if you look at the striking point, so where the ball bounces, he's not going off the back wall to get this ball. He has to get across directly through where Moment is. I mean, what makes it look worse from an Asal perspective is the fact that he's wrapping his racket around Moment. If he didn't do that, I think it's a bog standard let. You probably would just go, yeah, it's a let ball. But because he is wrapping it, it makes it look worse.
Yeah, and like I said, he's playing naughty here, Sal, with a wraparound. I agree, but then I'm not happy with Moment's movement either.
No, exactly. It's straight back, isn't it? He's not hit a very deep shot. The ball isn't deep.
Yeah, and all right, again, the benefit of the replay, especially the overhead, shows where Moment is moved. When we play it through a little bit and it shows the overhead, you can see Moment's movement is a little bit naughty from the overhead, which as a referee making that call, we don't get the benefit of, obviously. Really tough call, really tough call. But be careful. You do see that. That's you seen Moment's movement there, right? From the overhead. Watch movement here now.
Oh, it did cuts out on that one. Okay.
Okay.
So let ball.
Tough call. Yes, let. Really tough call. Decision number 8.
Again, I'll play it a couple of times. Okay, one more time through. Okay, Roy, I'll let you go with this one.
Yeah, I think we'll run the poll first.
Oh yeah, of course we do. I was getting ahead of myself. Excellent, coming nice and quickly. Right, so we've got a majority on the no let, a small percentage on the stroke, and then 34% on the yes let. So what are you thinking, Roy?
Yeah, couple of points to consider here. Is she able to hit this ball on the volley? And that's key for me, because Hamami's movement is straight back into her. Was she on the ball? I believe she can volley that at a reasonable height. It's not like 4 or 5 foot above her head. She can, you know, Joel King 6 foot, whatever. I think she can volley it. Hamami's movement directly back into her line. Look at the quality of the ball. It's a good foot and a half off the wall. She can take that on the volley. That's a stroke for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key factor, isn't it? I think that's what I'm thinking as well, is if you're judging that Joel King can get across and volley that ball, and it's low enough for a volley. She definitely wants to go across to volley it. That's where her movement's taking her. You can see she's going sideways across the middle. She wants to volley it. So if you're judging that she can volley that, that's definitely a stroke.
Yeah, she is not on the right side of her. She is underside of her, right? She wants to hit that ball in the volley for me. So that's why I'm giving a stroke in that situation.
Yeah. It's another tough one, isn't it? Because you've got to judge where the ball is, whether she can volley it, whether the intent is there for King to actually volley it. Because if none of those factors count, then there's acres of space for her to get into behind as well, isn't there? So, but the first instance is the intent to volley. If you're happy that she wants to volley that ball, it's a genuine effort to volley the ball, and she can volley it, then I think it can only be a stroke. If that doesn't hold up, then I would agree with the no let, but that's the decision to make.
Yeah. And the pace in the ball is not high pace. She's there. It's more of a medium pace ball as well. But another really tough call for me. Another tough call.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. Tough angle that. We need to see the replay. Okay, we'll watch one more time, then we'll go to the poll. Okay, if we go to the poll on that one.
Really interesting decision after the Asal one, Lee. And this, isn't it, really interesting where people are going with this now.
Yeah, I mean that's the best split we've seen, isn't it?
Yeah,
the closest.
Yeah, and I think by us showing the Asal one previously, I think this has influenced the people on the call tonight. To be honest, I think it is definitely influenced there. Really, you know, go on.
Well, so when I'm watching this again, I think at professional level, I wouldn't be giving a stroke, but I'd be giving a let ball on this one, just for the fact that I don't think Hamami's quite done enough to clear to get out of the way completely. So then I'd be looking at yes let more with the follow through than anything, not so much on the front wall necessarily, but I just think when you look at it and the way that she's crossed across and not quite got out of the way quick enough, for me, I'm sitting on a let ball there.
Yeah, interesting. The notes that I've got for me linked to that first decision, that the previous sort of situation with the Asal and the Moman one. I've just got that follow through potential for safety. I agree at this level. We do not want to be given strokes there. That is a cheap stroke. If this had been different parts of the match, again, I believe these players would have hit would have hit similar sort of balls during this match, and we need to encourage them. That is a really, really cheap stroke. The overhead, you know, the follow through, there is a potential of safety here. So no let would be very, very harsh in my opinion. Just a fear of safety of the follow through. I am angling for a yes let also.
Yeah, it's interesting that neither of us really saw it as front wall interference and thought more about the swing, the follow through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm happy with the let as well. I'll play this through a few times. Okay, so if we go for the poll. Excellent. Decisions come through thick and fast. So got a majority. It's interesting. Got a majority of yes lets. Quite a lot of people going no let, and the minority going for a stroke. So if we go back to it, I'll go with what I think first, Roy. Now I think he's making himself hard to get past deliberately. So for me, if you watch the standing leg, not only does it not look to get out of the way, it actually goes out to make it harder to get past. Look, there's a movement of that black shoe of the right leg out after the shot. So really, if you're hitting a shot, you should be making yourself narrow afterwards. Was actually this leg goes out towards the opponent, which is using the body to actually make it even harder to get past there. So rather than it actually coming in after the shot, there's a second movement, and the second movement is actually wider, making it bigger and harder and making sure that the contact happens. So for me, this is a real example of a player using their body to stop the opponent from getting through. And for me, that should be penalized. So I'd be going stroke against Asal.
Yeah. Look at the score. Obviously, massive decision. As it's a standalone decision, as a referee, we really should be picking that up in real time. That is like, in layperson's terms, a deliberate block, and a deliberate block needs to be penalized. So for me, that is a conduct stroke. That is a deliberate block. You know, you can see the movement. I think it's perhaps on this particular good refereeing, because the center ref has sent it upstairs to have a really good look, and you can see the double movement with the leg, the hip. Deliberate block for me. That decision needs to be a conduct stroke as opposed to a stroke. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to be clear, you wouldn't even go to the decision. You'd go conduct stroke. As soon as you see the evidence, you go conduct stroke. Yeah. And then that would be the 1 point to Elias.
Yeah, and that would be handout or whatever, or 11-10, whatever, if it was handout or whatever. Oh, in this case, it would be handout because Asal served. But conduct stroke against Asal for the deliberate block, because when you play that, and we play in this, 5-10, the evidence is there. You can see the hip check. You can see his using his body to deny access, deliberately. So that needs to be a conduct stroke.
Yeah, we'll just have a look at one more, and then we'll move it on to the next one.
Yeah.
I think definitely as a team, you know, as a team of match referee and video referee, you want to be picking that up, don't you, with all the replays?
Yeah, and again, the big thing is, like we said from the start, as the match referee and as the video referee, the points to consider. It's about processing those points to consider as quickly as possible as a team and coming to the fairest result as quickly as possible. And there's lots going on. A couple of people have watched the ball and they're saying, he's hit a really good shot. But on this case, you are not watching the ball in isolation. You need to watch both players. And in this particular position, in this particular circumstance, the one player is the biggest point to consider in this situation. So you've got to have your wits about you and be able to have all these points, all this information in your toolkit to process correctly and quickly. And in this instance, you had the added benefit of a video referee hopefully helping you out as well, right? And that's really important in this particular situation.
Yeah, and you can't underestimate how difficult that is to make as well, I guess. I mean, the fact that it's a huge match in a massive tournament and the players are locked in at 2-all, 10-all.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get much tougher than that.
Yeah, and do not be afraid if the situation warrants it. You do not have to go through the gears and give a conduct warning, conduct stroke, conduct game, conduct match. If the severity of the decision warrants, you can come in wherever you like. All right. And be comfortable and have confidence in your ability, and both your abilities in this particular case. Okay, decision number 11.
Okay. So I'll play it a couple of times. So play it one more time, and then we'll go to the poll. Okay, so if we go to the poll, get everyone's view. Okay, so we went heavily for the stroke here, 17% on the no let, and the lowest was the 8% for the yes let. So if we have a look at decision 11 again, I mean, when I'm looking at this, for all the skill that Sarah-Jane Perry possesses, she doesn't fool Gohar here at all. And the other thing that I look out for is how loopy the ball is to the front wall. So it's very slow getting to the front wall. And then after it hits the sidewall, it actually bounces up and it comes a long way back. So I'm looking at the loopiness of the ball, where Gohar is, and then how much life is in the ball for it sitting up for Gohar actually to go and hit and strike the ball at that striking point. So, I mean, I can only see a stroke here.
Yeah.
For Gohar.
For me, She read the drop, the ball bounced up, and no movement off the ball. Stroke.
I'll just watch it through one more time. Again, it's just very loopy and slow to the front, and Gohar's so fast and sees it straight onto that. Okay. Right. You have to forget your Welsh here, Roy.
Yeah, it could be difficult.
Right, again, I don't think it gets any easier with more replays.
Yeah, it actually gets more difficult. I agree. You know, as a referee, perhaps you need to go with you get your first thoughts, because the more and more you look into it, the more and more you get more confused, I believe, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, isn't it? As a video referee, if you look at the clips too many times, you actually start confusing yourself slightly, and it becomes, I think, the more you look at something, the harder it becomes to actually overrule a match referee.
Yeah, yeah, and the more and more you watch it, you may be, you know, this thing about these points to consider. You start looking for things that maybe are not there. You know, look at the ball, look at his movement out, look at the movement in. Where is the ball? How's the player moving in? How's the player moving out? And if you've got two ticks against one, then in theory it should go to one of the players.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's go to the poll, see what the thoughts are. Yeah, I mean, this is tough, and it's a good split between the three decisions. Such a hard thing, and you could probably make a good case. You could probably make a good case for all of them, Roy. I mean, I think for me, you know, I've been talking about points to consider. You've got to consider how short the ball stays, but then equally, is there life in the ball as it's sitting up? Got to look at Makin's movement in. He takes a movement up towards Moment, but is that where he has to go to be able to actually get the ball where the striking point is? And then you've got to look at Moment's clearance. And when I look at the top angle, Moment looks like he stands up and gets stuck on the ball. And then when I see where the striking point is, because it's so short, I would say I think the line is straight through Tariq Moment. And then when I look at it and think, can Joel Makin get the ball? I think, yes, he can. So then it brings me around to only being able to give a stroke, really.
Yeah, and you know, I declare my conflict of interest before my decision. Okay, so I have declared my conflict of interest. But for me, I've got, he stood up, no access, and Makin once two and is able to hit that ball. So that's why in this particular situation, I have gone a stroke. I do not think Joel Makin is looking for him. I think that's his line to the ball, and Moment has stood up. So that's why my rationale. But I have declared my conflict of interest, and I think that's a stroke for me.
And you think the ball is gettable?
Oh, Joel Makin will pick 99% of those up for breakfast.
Okay.
In my opinion. But I have declared a conflict of interest.
You haven't quite got your Welsh flag up behind you, but
no, not yet. But I'm wearing my Welsh top.
I wasn't sure if I liked the first movement of Makin towards Moment, but when I then look at it, the movement from Moment is straight back, and because the ball does stay so short, I do think he's actually going in the right direction. If he's actually going to hit that ball before it bounces twice, so that's what sort of brought me round on that one.
And I will put this one out there as a point to consider as well. During these matches with all sort of these players that we are showing tonight as well, is this conscious or subconscious bias, you know, the perception or the reality of some, you know, we've showed some clips tonight of some of the more tougher players to referee, both from the women's game and the men's game, you know, and we've just got to be careful, you know, of this perception of this reality where we pick on a few players maybe, but sometimes they may be right. So this conscious or subconscious sort of bias towards or against a particular player. So that's like another point to consider. You know, we've got to have a clean slate for each and every match. So difficult, difficult to take everything in, you know, and all of us at our local club, we've got the difficult players in our club, you know, and some of us, you know, I'm not refereeing him, he's too difficult to referee. But we've got to learn and develop to get the confidence to give these correct decisions, and more appropriately, the explanation to back up the decision and the rationale behind it.
Yeah. We've got 3 more decisions, so I think we can probably just about squeeze them in if we are sharp.
Yeah.
So I'll play it again. Okay, one more time, and then we can go to the poll. Okay, if we go to the poll. Okay, so it's wavering a bit. It's quite close, actually. I'm slightly more surprised at that being quite close, because when I looked at this, I was thinking a stroke. I think the ball sits up, Moman steps back straight off the ball again, stands up very quickly out of that first lunge, and John Makin's on him like a flash, and the line of the ball, the access is directly through Moman to the striking point, I think.
Yeah, for me, the same there, you know, stood up again, a little bit more life in the ball than the previous one. He can 100% get this ball, and he's in his access to the ball. He wants to hit the ball. He wants to hit the ball here for me. So that's why he's a stroke.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. I watched it through a couple of times. Watch it one more time. Okay, so if we go poll. So strong consensus in favour of the stroke there, Roy.
Yeah, ball's bouncing up, direct line through him. Easily can hit this, in my opinion, even though I've got a conflict of interest. 100% a stroke for me.
Yeah, it looks a bit messy, doesn't it? Because of where Makin is and where Moman's played it from, and they're both getting really fatigued. at this point, but when you actually see the shot and the shot quality, I mean, it's just not a great shot. And Moman's just stuck there again, and he's right in the access again for making. He can't come through. He would go and get that ball. Just finished watching it here. You see here, he just stands up and he's just stuck.
Yeah,
stuck there.
Nowhere to go.
Okay, we've got. This is the last one, I think.
Yeah, decision number 15.
I'll play it a couple of times again. Okay. So if we go to the poll, last one. Okay, so I'm in the minority here.
Yeah,
I've gone with stroke.
Yeah, interesting for me, Lee. One question I want to ask you in this situation, because I saw some life in the ball as well, and I saw her swing, interfered with enough. In your opinion, do you think the player is able to go up and around? Because my guess is that's why the guys and the girls on the call have given maybe a no let, minimal, should go and hit it. But I saw some life in the ball. What you were thinking here?
Yeah, I don't think there's space. I don't think when you look at, oh, I can't pause it. So if I try and pause it, the clearance from Hamami and where the ball's coming back.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's space for Nada Abbas to get up and round there. And Hamami is just still standing right there after a pretty poor shot. And that's basically where Abbas would want to be going through to hit the ball.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. Not enough space in again, what are we looking for? And there's a bit of life in this ball, Lee, for me.
Yeah, it's coming back quite a long way, and Hamami's gone nowhere.
Yeah, and
so there's no room to swing. There's no room to get up and round or to swing if you want to actually hit that ball.
Yeah. Abbas wants to hit the ball, just a little bit of life on this ball, and she wants to hit it. I believe she wants to hit it.
Yeah, I just don't think Hamami does enough. I think the quality of the shot isn't very good. I don't think there's room to get up and round.
Yeah. So I'm going with you on the stroke there, and like I said, quickly to process exactly what is going on there. Little bit of contact. A couple of people picked it up in the chat room. Really interesting point. Look for the clues, because the clues are out there, and just a little bit of rubbing of the arm from Hamami. So there was a little bit of contact linked to the ball being a little bit more life in the ball than perhaps, Hamami thought initially. Those two are key points to consider for me.
Yeah, I agree. And Hamami doesn't really do anything to get out of the way either. She's just standing there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this. But when I was going through this and I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about the reflection that I'd like to get from this, and that hopefully you guys might be able to take away from it, is just have a little think and maybe make a note about what your main personal takeaway is from this session, because it's going to be very different to everyone who's watching it, who's doing this and going through it, because you're going to pick up on slightly different things. So maybe make a note of just one main takeaway that you can remember that you think is going to make the biggest difference to your officiating moving forwards. And then just link to it as well. You know, having gone through all these clips, are you starting to become aware of what your strengths are? You know, where are your strong areas when it comes to officiating and refereeing? What bits do you notice? Well, actually, I saw that quite clearly, because it's always really good to know your strengths. And yeah, it's something that we always shy away from. So I think it's good to know, you know, where you are strong and where you get those wins. And then the other thing that I'd like you to think about is, from everything that we've seen in the different areas, which aspects of your refereeing would you actually like to improve the most? Where have you come through and gone, well, actually, I didn't quite see that. Maybe I need to do more of that, or I need to watch more of it, or I need to discuss those areas a bit more because I didn't understand it, and maybe I didn't understand or agree with what Lee and Roy was saying, and maybe I need to seek another opinion on it. But definitely have a little think about the areas you'd like to improve most, because I think these types of sessions will help to give you and develop that understanding. And then one of the things that whenever I'm talking to the guys that are right at the top of the game refereeing, is the fact they always, well, it doesn't surprise me because I know them very well now, but how much they practice and how much time they put into developing the different areas of the game. So it's just a question and a thought of how much time are you willing to give to actually commit to these developments, to these thoughts, to improving. And then just keep watching squash. Obviously get the practical practice in, but keep watching the different areas that you want to work on. And you know, there's a whole catalogue of stuff on the WSO site, or watching the matches and picking up on the areas and going, oh, actually, I've just noticed that area that I didn't think I was too strong on. All of a sudden, you're starting to pick up on those things. And then there's also a reflection form on the WSO site as a resource that you can fill out from matches that you've officiated on. You can actually upload it as well to your portal, and I'd highly recommend that, because this is the process. You know, when I'm working with players, this is what we talk about. This is the developmental sort of side of them starting to understand what they do, then themselves as players, as referees, or their brand. And it's about building what you do and what you bring to the court every time you officiate. And also that level of understanding just helps you to evolve constantly. And as we all know, I mean, I'm learning all the time. Every time we have these sorts of discussions, when we're at tournaments or when we're reviewing stuff, there's always new things to learn. Mine and Roy's main takeaways. Roy, I'll let you go through this if you want.
Yeah, so a couple of takeaways for me, having watched these decisions and done some reflection. Very tough calls. The explanation to support these decisions are key here, and just have a think of how I would have explained that tough decision. That's the learning for me for these decisions. What would have I had said in that situation? Is my explanation clear, comfortable, and it shows clarity for the players and everyone watching? Very, very tough. The other thing which I noted, 8 or 9 of these decisions, the points to consider in this webinar, what definitely was the ball. In certain cases, there was some bit of life in the ball. In other cases, there wasn't any life in the ball. So just be aware, you got 2 players on a court and you've got a ball. And you've got to consider the actions of all 3 of those variables. The ball in some cases is important. In other cases, it's less important, the movement. But the ball stood out for me. And the other thing, look for the clues. The clues are there, right? But you need to be looking for them, right? Line to the ball, the leg out, right? The wrap around. Some of them are easier to spot Others are a little bit more difficult. The action of the players, right? The demeanor of the players, they're not looking at you, they're looking down, right? They're animated, they're trying to con you. The clues are there, and you have got to be cool, calm, and calculated and actually give a decision like that, which is the most difficult thing that lots of people can't appreciate. And we do not have the benefit of the replay, of the overhead, of the front wall. But those are the main sort of 3 takeaways for me based on these 15 decisions that we have taken and shown tonight.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Roy. Really valuable stuff. Now we're going to wrap up here. So thank you ever so much for joining us. Hopefully you found it useful. Obviously, we'd love to make it more interactive, but it would just take so much longer if we were discussing everyone's thoughts and points through it. Obviously, Roy and Chris were keeping an eye on the chat as well, though. We are going to look to try and do more of these. We'll aim to get them after large events, and we'll look to get it posted out so that you guys have plenty of time to try and make them. We'll also make them available once they've been sort of put together, and they are being recorded, and they will become available on the website if you do happen to miss some. But hopefully you've enjoyed our first World Squash Officiating Ref-inar, and you've got lots of stuff to take away from it. Have a good rest of your evening, and we will see you again very soon. Take care.